Hello everyone, it is your lovely host, the Gaming Weasel, and the Sancti Magistar Incarnon. This is, I think, our third or fourth melee Incarnon weapon, and we have a decent amount to talk about here, but that's gonna be towards the end. Now, you might be wondering, Magistar or Sancti Magistar, and I think we all know the answer to that. Sancti Magistar, as you can see by the stats, is basically better in every single aspect than the normal Magistar, and there's literally no competition between each of these weapons. Now, of course, Sancti Magistar is a weapon that you get from New Loka, and it costs 120,000 if I'm correct, so that's not gonna be that hard to get. It's pretty easy to get. So honestly, if you possibly can, pick it up, but I wouldn't honestly recommend it, and I'll tell you why in just a second. First of all, let's start off with the actual evolutions. Now, for the first evolution, of course, reaching 6x combo, then you get heavy attack, activates the Incarnon form, giving you 100% melee damage, 30 initial combo, 50 attack, heavy attack, wind up speed, 10% sprint speed, and bullet jump. So that's pretty cool. Evolution 2, we have two options here, Crushing Verdict and of course Edge of Justice. Edge of Justice is really good, but only a melee weapon equipped. That's not pretty good because we want ourselves a primer. And of course the other one, we're gonna have to use it because there's no other option. Increase 20 damage, and with channeled ability you have increase fall off by 100%, which is pretty cool, but honestly we don't really have a good option. Seismic Salam, Hurricane Reach, and of course Swift Break is the third evolution. Hurricane Reach is honestly the best option, and honestly the only one that I would use. Extra range is always good. And of course we have evolution 4, we have Flashing Bleed, Subtle Force, and of course Critical Parallel. And I mean, you know, Subtle Force and Critical Parallel are really good, but we all know we're gonna pick 50% chance of bleed on impact status effect. I think that is pretty much a plain and simple option. Now, a couple of things that I do want to say, and I will be mentioning that in the modding section as well. I'm not a big fan of hammers, and honestly I really hate the gameplay style of hammers, and both of the stances are pretty awful in my opinion, but nonetheless, this is a weapon that I really wanted to test out, see how it works. I mean, with the Sancti Magistar, you do get healing as well, which is really cool, but honestly, it's not worth the hassle. But nonetheless, let's just move on to the modding section. And now for the, of course, modding section that we all know and love. Now, honestly, I've been trying to fiddle around with this weapon for a decent amount of time. I'm not the biggest fan of hammers, to be completely honest with you, mostly because, of course, we do have everything other, basically, than a slash. We have impact here, a lot of it, but we will convert to that, of course, with our evolution, which I showed you earlier. Now, Crushing Ruin is honestly the better stance here. I have tried Shattering Storm because the default, of course, stance polarity is the D polarity, but honestly this takes too long. It doesn't allow you to fire your secondary Epitaph and or Kuvanukor fast enough, and honestly Crushing Ruin is definitely a must. Now, Prime Fury can be changed out for Berserker Fury, really all depends on you. We do have typical Condition Overload, Blood Rush, of course we do have Viral as well, Primed Reach to add even more reach onto our weapon, Organ Shatter, and Gladiator Might. Now, couple of things that you can change out. Gladiator Might can be definitely changed out for Weeping Wounds. If you want to, put that there. Honestly, I've been trying to fiddle around with both of them. I personally feel a little bit better with Gladiator Might, but I guess it is your option. And of course, it is up to you if you want to use a Smite mod. You can personally put that maybe instead of Primed Reach or instead of Weeping Runes, but Prime Reach would be my option, for example. So Smite, basically anything. I don't have Smite corrupted, so that's why I don't use it, and plus I prefer the primed variants. But that's basically it for the modding section. And I might be saying, well, with of course the thing evolution that you have a lot of impact and a lot of viral. Well, of course that is sort of the main point, because of course we want 50% of our impact to convert into slash, and we want mostly impact and the least amount of puncture and slash. And of course viral is really good because, viral slash, as we all know. But that's basically it for the modding section. You can actually put colliding force or collision force here to increase impact, but I've been testing it out and I honestly hadn't gotten good results. But nonetheless, my final thoughts about the weapon and I guess Incarnon melees in general. Now recently, with the the recent melee weapons, especially the Incarnon ones, well actually only the Incarnon ones, they seem to have a sort of a trend. The Incarnon form seems to be the same pretty much throughout all of them. The evolutions a little bit different, but honestly the 4th evolution is usually converting a certain damage type into slash again, which is sort of not fixing the problem, mostly just avoiding it completely, which is pretty okay I guess, but I think there should be a better workaround, at least in some way. Honestly, the best melee Incarnon weapons are still the Praetos and the Inodem, in my opinion. I have been testing out the Magistar, I've tested out, I forgot what other melee weapon I tested out a couple days ago. Honestly, I still love the Praetos a lot more, and even the Inodem, than these new Incarnon weapons. Hopefully with the new round coming next week, I actually kind of forgot which melee weapon they're doing, but hopefully they do something a little bit different than 100% damage, and of course converting 50-40% of your damage type into slash. But nonetheless, the Sancti magistar, the Incarnon evolution, honestly, if you didn't get this, don't worry, you're not missing out on a lot. A lot of your melee weapons are already 10 times, 11 times, 100 times better than this weapon, other than the healing factor, which is okay sometimes, but you know, I guess it's kinda cool. Nonetheless, this has been your lovely host, the Gaming Weasel. I am wondering about your honest thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, so when you possibly can, type that out, and I will see you guys on the next one. The Gaming Weasel, over and out.